Good day everyone. I hope you all are doing well. Today, we are going to learn on Chapter 1, Introduction. In this chapter, we will review on several definition of terms related to record management for office professionals. The first one is data. Data is referring to representation of information in a formalized manner suitable for communication, interpretation and processing, generally by a computer system. Raw data is also considered as unprocessed data that have no context or purposeful meaning and information. In addition, data is defined as facts or figures, or information that is stored in or used by a computer. Document is referring to the medium through which information is imprinted for conveyance to one or more person. It is considered as writing conveying information to transmit information from one platform to another platform. Basically, document is defined as the smallest unit for filing. In computer files, document is referring to other non-paper-based unit. By documenting information in several units for filing, a fact, event or other thing into some relatively permanent form, so that it can be retrieved later. Information is something that leads to knowledge regardless of the medium of its conveyance to one or more person. Either information is transmitted using paper or computer-based record, the content of information is more important. Information is referred to data that is accurate and timely, specific and organized for a purpose, presented within a context that gives it meaning and relevance, and can lead to an increase in understanding and decrease in uncertainty. Record is referring to recorded information in form of document regardless of form or medium made or received by an organization and that is useful in the operation of the organization. It provides evidence of a business transaction in which information is created, received and maintained as evidence. Record is one of the famous questions in this chapter. Records can be created using several of form or mediums such circulars, reports, files, posters, film, microfilm, certificates and others. Record can be divided into two, namely public and private records. For public records, mainly record created or received and maintained in any public sector agency, while for private records, it is usually maintained by non-governmental organizations, families or individuals relating to their private and public affairs. Usually, there is building designed for record center within the organization, in which this center adapted the low-cost storage, maintenance and communication of semi-current records pending their ultimate disposal. In simple word, it refers to storage area for disposal of records. This is several examples of record center. Records, usually but not necessarily non-current or enduring value selected for permanent preservation. These records normally are preserved in an archival repository such as in storehouse or warehouse. This is several examples of archives in the organization. Archival repository is referring to a building or part of a building in which archives are preserved and made available for consultation, also known as an archives. For example, National Archives of Malaysia. Evidence is referring to an indication, testimony in support of a conclusion. It may comprise of receipt, transaction, or documentations. The characteristics of records should be enclosed with evidences are permanent or static, value as official sources of information, authentic and unique. Regardless who are the creators or users of records, the record is created and used in a daily basis to support document actions, confirm decision, identify right, implement responsibilities and communicate information. Usually, different agencies may create and use records for different purposes such as for public administration or business transaction. This is important subtopic, the value of records. It is divided into four, namely administrative, fiscal, legal and historical value. Please put necessary attention on this different value of records. First, administrative value. All records have administrative value because they are necessary to conduct the agency's current business. The duration of this value may be long or short. Some records, such as program directives, have long-term administrative value. Others, such as messenger service files, have short-term administrative value. Many records at operating levels have short-term administrative value because they are correspondence duplicated elsewhere, reports summarized at higher agency levels, or logs serving as temporary controls. Second, fiscal value. Along with general administrative value, some records may have fiscal value. Records with fiscal value document the agency's financial transactions and obligations. They include budget records, which show how expenditures were planned, voucher or expenditure records, which indicate the purposes for which funds were spent, and accounting records, which classify and summarize agency expenditures. Such agencies as the Office of Management and Budget, the General Accounting Office, the Treasury Department, and the General Services Administration prescribe the form and content of many fiscal records. Third, legal value. Besides administrative and fiscal value, records may also have legal value. Some legal values relate to records that the law requires the government to create and maintain in the course of its operations. Others, however, are quite broad and do not necessarily involve an agency's operations. Instead, they are intended to protect the rights of individuals and organizations. Such records are useful in documenting legally enforceable rights or obligations, both those of the government and those of persons directly affected by an agency's activities. Finally, historical value. Records with historical value that are retained permanently for purpose of enduring value and not necessarily for business purposes. The last subtopic is use of records. Please remember at least 3 uses or purposes of records. The first one, in pressing for claims due to a person. Second, to show that someone is responsible for a particular action. Third, to tell us the story of what has happened in the past. Next, to boost the corporate image of a particular firm by showing the success in its long past. Finally, to tell us our past mistakes and provides continuity in charting our future. That's all for Chapter 1. Before we end, please justify why we need manage records.